I think you're great because you're listening to Fresh Floppies Episode 6.
What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? My name is Noel. Joining me today is...
JD and Johnny Destructo Hero.
And where's Johnny? You know what? Cut. Take two.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey,
what's
I'm
up there?
Noel. These people are listening. I mean, I'm assuming it's a person, not an algorithm that just clicks on the thing to hit play. But they're listening to Fresh Floppies.
Yeah.
What's a floppy?
Well, floppy is a single issue that comes out usually monthly.
Monthly floppies.
Yeah.
Every week, monthly floppies.
Yes.
And we're going to only be talking about the freshest floppy periodical comic book magazines issues that are out in stores like immediately, right now,
like
today.
Today.
Brand new, today.
Yeah.
I mean, for us in the real world, it's tomorrow. But for
we are time travelers.
Yeah, we were so excited about this week's comics. We went back in time.
Yeah. Gonna go back in time.
But before we went back in time, we picked up our comics at
Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA. It's a Manayunk.
So we got our comics
there
tomorrow.
Yes.
But today, for those that are listening, we got our comics, we read some, and then we immediately traveled back in time to Tuesday to record this, to talk about these comic books.
Which comic books do you mean?
The ones that are sitting in front of you right now.
Do you mean like Unstoppable Doom Patrol #1?
I feel like that would be a perfect place to start. It's a new #1 on the dawn of DC, Unstoppable Doom Patrol #1, written by Dennis Culver, with art by
Chris Burnham.
The inscrutable? Is that a word?
You can screw him. I've screwed him once or twice.
Scrupulous, the scrumptious and scrupulous Chris Burnham of Batman Incorporated and Die fame.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
The world's strangest superheroes are saving the world by saving the monsters. DC Comics proudly presents Doom Patrol. Degenerates, one and all, is the name of this issue.
Before we talk about this first issue, do you have a history with Doom Patrol in any kind of medium?
I have seen the TV show, and it is delightful. It may be, that and Swamp Thing were probably my two favorite DC. Remember that app that came out?
DC Universe is the worst thing in the world going.
So yeah, Doom Patrol is actually a very good show, and I had a little bit of Grant Morrison, his run from the 80s. I read a little bit of that so long ago, and I was like, too weird for me. And then I did read a little bit of the Gerard Way run, but it didn't stick with it. So yeah, I don't have a ton of Doom Patrol experience, but I do have some.
I have even less experience with Doom Patrol. Mm-hmm. I watched 75% of the first episode of the show.
Oh, wow.
I'll go back, maybe. We'll see. And I did pick up and read probably the first arc of the Doom Patrol by Gerard Way and Nick Darrington. Nick
Darrington.
Right?
Homina.
I have all those issues, and I really want to go back and read it. And I also have the Grant Morrison stuff. I've just never read it. Doom Patrol is something that's always existed in the periphery of my own fandom, and I understand the appreciation of it, but I never really read it. So this is earnestly probably the first. I'm going in coldish. I'm aware of the conceit and some of the most popular characters, but it's pretty cold.
For folks like us who do not have a plethora of Doom Patrol, a dirge of Doom experience, right off the bat, give me a little bit of information, man. Like, this is the dawn of DC, you need to let new readers know what they're in for, and really all they do give us a little.
It's a very cute double-page splash.
Yeah, and it shows us the 5 main characters, and that's it. Doesn't tell you what they do, what their powers are, their relationship, anything. It's really just Robot Man, Cliff Steele, Negative Man, Larry Trainer, so on and so forth. I do like the new little logo though, that sideways.
The DP.
DP, that's kind of cool. So all right, starting off, presentation. It looks like a superhero comic book.
Yeah, the presentation's fine. Like, the cover's great. It's there's a cardstock cover for this issue, but the basic cover A is slightly thicker than the pages inside, glossy pages. It's a well constructed comic book, very much I feel like we need to come up with ratings for the presentation, like a periodical, like an expensive magazine with staples, not bound, not glue bound. Right. But yeah, it's a $3.99 comic book.
I feel like the cover says, if you like Doom Patrol, here's Doom Patrol.
I feel like it's there is an era of Doom Patrol, and maybe I'm reading this wrong considering I've never really read Doom Patrol. So first, you know what? I'm just going to say it now. I'm pulling this out of my ass. I feel like the imagery of this cover is, hey, you know the Doom Patrol. You know the Doom Patrol. This is superhero version of the Doom Patrol. This is a very heroic pose. They're in matching outfits. It seems to be in story and in presentation a reintroduction of the Doom Patrol as perhaps a heroic team of sorts.
Sure. Yeah.
Not misfits that just do well or do good or.
You know what they are? They're the X-Men. Because we've got the matching outfits, which I quite like. I like the color scheme.
Yeah,
I like that they all have the matching outfits and everything like that. And as soon as they arrive in Gotham to track down the problem that's happening, they are hated and feared. People are literally yelling at them to leave, to get out. Like, we got a Batman, we don't need you, sort of thing. The presentation we already covered. Story is they show up and they're basically recruiting a new member of the Doom Patrol, which I would not have known if he wasn't on the cover. So they get to the place, and a bunch of this white rocky material starts fighting them, and I go, oh, I guess by the end of this they will have recruited that gentleman.
I didn't notice him on the cover.
Oh, so you didn't know?
No.
Okay, cool.
I didn't notice him on the cover. I just the idea of reforming.
Yeah.
A monster. Right. Yeah. I didn't. Yeah, there he is, just with a tank top on the just right on the cover. I'm dumb. Oh, you know what? I'm not stupid. I bought a different cover. So suck it.
You're super. See, I knew you were smart.
So what did you think of this story?
I think this is fun.
Yeah.
I do like that it leans a little less on the weird. The Grant Morrison stuff, the Gerard Way was like, how weird can we make this? How sort of like, can we just put a bunch of Post-its on a wall and throw darts at them, and that would be our story beats? This feels much more. You can dive into it easier.
Accessible,
that's the word. What'd you think?
Pretty much the same. There was a couple of bits that I thought were cute that I liked. I like as a first issue, I think it's like a B. It's like
a pretty fresh.
Yeah, I guess a pretty fresh. But I mean, so much as in it did not really hook me. It didn't overly excite me, but I could see reading a couple more issues or picking up a trade at some point. The idea that like there's nothing inherently wrong with this. So I think maybe it's just a factor of that I'm not completely comfortable with these characters, or not comfortable. I'm not very familiar with these characters. Yeah. So it didn't give me enough to just like straight up hook me cold. But I could tell that there's like good stuff in here, and I'm a simp for Chris Burnham art. I love his art style. I know that there's something about it. It's hyper detailed, but also incredibly cartoonish at the same time.
For sure.
I love how he does creatures. This Beast Girl character, I took a picture of that.
That's a great
image,
panel.
and I love that panel so much. Yeah. I also love his panel layout a lot too, because he plays with the format while also just like understanding the language of comics. Giant fan of Chris Burnham, so he would have kept me. He's the one that's going to keep me kind of reading one or two issues to get acclimated, whereas the story itself just kind of it's not samesies, just like okay, like nothing absolutely new or hooking, just so much. Okay, I get it. That's fine.
Yeah, super team.
Yeah, super team. Got it.
For Chris Burnham, I have a couple of comments to make. I like him here better than I did on Batman Incorporated. I do not like Chris Burnham on Bat books, which is funny because Batman and Robin make an appearance in here. I think he is perfect for this type of book. I think he is a cartoonier version of Frank Quitely. And he's perfect for this book. So yeah, this is a great looking book. I really like the art. And also back to the presentation, the paper's very nice.
Yeah, they are relaunching Doom Patrol in earnest. Yes. This is not a, I mean, I'm sure it's a passion project for the creators, but like DC seemed to put some publishing money into like this launch and the presentation. You know, every once in a while you'll pick up a book that you seem to be the only fan of, and you like the paper's a little thin, or it's paper, or it's a newspaper print, or blah blah blah. This is actually a really well presented book.
Who's Dennis Culver? Do we know him from something else?
He's a writer.
Writer of Doom Patrol #1 for sure. I know that.
I know professionally he has written other things.
Yeah. Okay.
None that I've read.
I believe we're going to read a book later. We're going to talk about a book later where we were like, we have no idea who wrote this.
Yeah, I've never heard of these creators before. And you know what? If we were professionals, we would have done research and looked this up. But you know what? It's the off the cuff conversation. That's what makes this really important. That's what makes us, dare I say, lovable.
That's true. My mom agrees with you.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, I really like this. I'm going to go pretty fresh as well.
Yeah, it was pretty fresh. It was very solid.
Recommended. I like it.
Yeah, I would on the shelf, I would be like, hey, do you know or do you like Doom Patrol? Is the TV show a thing you dig? Do these characters look interesting enough? Because aesthetically, too, it is a very fascinating looking book. So I would just, on that merit alone, like, what kind of artist do you like? This might be something you give a shot to.
Yeah. The only knock on this book is that even going into it, I was still a little like, wait, who's that? Oh, okay. Oh, that's Crazy Jane. Oh, okay. Stuff like that. I'm a big proponent. We talked about this off mic. Big proponent of every single comic book should have a previously on.
Oh man, you want to sidetrack? Do you want to sidetrack hard? Earlier today, JD and I were talking about Star Wars: The High Republic.
Yeah.
I was only reading the comic book.
Whereas I was reading the novels and the comic books.
As much as I was enjoying the comic books on a middling level and like, hey, these are pretty interesting. As soon as it would get like really fascinating, it would be the end of an arc, and then the next arc would start, and I felt like I missed something because there was because I did miss things.
For sure.
The comic book did not recap anything for me or fill in gaps for me. It was just a piece of a puzzle, and I found it to be an incredibly frustrating experience. I know that it was cross publisher, cross platforms.
Yes,
but they all should be accessible, right?
Agreed. Yep,
so
100%.
It doesn't matter how good it is if it's not accessible. It's difficult. So like, I forgot where we were going with this. Recap pages, baby. I don't need you to adapt absolutely everything for me, but just give me some recaps. Let me know where I'm at. Like, let me know if I missed something, because the way it's presented here with the new character, I assume a new character, Beast Girl, and Crazy Jane now being in the role of Chief. Yeah. Did that happen in a previous run? Did that happen outside of the book? Did that happen in a crossover? Or is this brand new and I shouldn't really worry about it? Don't know. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a fear of missing out. It's just a fear of being out of the loop, ignorant. Yeah. Like, should I not know this? Am I supposed to know this? What is like? Yeah. And the book doesn't really do any effort to tell you if you're on the right path or not.
Yeah, agreed. What was the next book on our list?
Well, the next book on our list, you had mentioned something about a young gentleman named Frank Quietly.
I did.
So why don't you tell us about something he might have had published today?
Well, I'll tell you. It's Mark Miller and Frank Quietly's new issue #1 called The Ambassadors. 8 billion people, 6 can have superpowers. Who do you choose? So,
Mom, me.
Say me.
I was going to go with the cat first. The
cat is better than me in every way.
And Belle to have.
So this is a new Mark Miller joint. If you don't know, if you're listening, you don't know who Mark Miller is, think Kick-Ass and Hit Girl. He created them. He did
Magic Order, Starlight, Secret Service. I'm sorry, Kingsman. Huck. 40 other books. Space Bandits.
One of my favorite runs on Spider-Man.
Sharky.
Marvel Knights Spider-Man.
He did a Fantastic Four run. Civil War. Yeah. The writer of
Civil War. There it is. We got there.
The highest grossing graphic novel of like Marvel history.
Yes. Yeah. So this is his new one. And so it's an Image comic book, and he has been bought by Netflix. Miller World, his whole oeuvre of indie Image books are owned by Netflix. And so this is supposed to be, he's like a Stan Lee type personality where like everything's the biggest, baddest, craziest. This is going to be this is going to blow off your dick. You're going to love this so much. Got a clit? Not anymore. That's how good this book is. That's sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Why under the belt?
I know.
It's not going to stop your heart. It's going to rip your dick off.
That's right. That's
like,
right.
What the fuck, man?
Your heart will keep beating. So this is his new series, is what I'm saying, and it's fine. It's good. I'm gonna say it's also pretty fresh. So the big deal is, I guess this is gonna be the most ambitious comic book he's ever done, is what he's saying.
I mean, so there's without having JD had a chance to read this. I did not. Without really talking about what's in the book, there are allusions that he's making to a giant Miller World crossover event called Big Game. And the lead up to that is the currently going Nemesis Reloaded Nightclub.
Oh, yeah?
Which is the teenager vampire superhero book, which is actually pretty good. And this, Ambassadors. Yeah. So he made allusions to these three books, kind of setting the stage for whatever Big Game is going to be. Yeah. But they did reveal, hint at / reveal that a lot of the characters from, I think from Secret Service and Ambassadors and Huck were going to be some of the characters that are in Big Game.
This is what I've been waiting for. I went through a couple ups and downs with Mark Miller. When he first came out the gate, I loved him. Because like I said, he did one of my favorite Spider-Man runs. And also he was nice enough to read my review and email me personally to thank me back when I was doing reviews on a website. And I am delighted to hear that a bunch of these characters are going to be interacting. I think in the middle there was a period of gets a little edgelordy. But now I'm back on the Miller train. I'm really enjoying the stuff he's been putting out in the last little while, mostly because of you making me read them. Yeah, you're go back. You gotta check it out.
I've been in the middle of a Miller Sans. Yeah. But there were so many. As soon as he got purchased by Netflix, it was like he was cranking out standalone miniseries like they were going out of style. Yeah. And I missed almost all of them. So in the past, I don't know, maybe 18 months, I've picked up a bunch of them and just read them. And some of them were so good, I almost feel stupid. And honestly, too, the larger comic book discourse didn't seem like they were talking about these books at all, right?
Nobody was.
Magic Order was one of the most surprisingly enjoyable books I had read in a year.
Yeah, I've been telling people I literally made sounds when I was reading it. I was in a room by myself reading it, and I was either laughing or make ooh, kind of.
Some of the most imaginative stuff in those books. Starlight, which
reading
is
it now,
but with Goran.
Oh yeah, Pavlov,
something
like
that. Yeah. Sorry, I'll fix it for in corrections next week. That was one of my favorite reads of his. It's a Flash Gordon pastiche, and it's awesome. Empress was fantastic. Huck was fantastic. And he gets the best artists for all of his books, and they're all very all of them for the most part were very standalone. And then all of a sudden, now word of it's all going to start connecting. I don't put anything past Miller into as much as maybe it's not really all connected so much as he'll just fucking throw them all in a room because of some stupid multiversal whatever. But either way, he's going to cross things. Yeah. And I will say it's not all gravy. I did read the first current or newish Miller thing that I didn't like the other way. Actually, Chrononauts wasn't bad. Oh, yeah. As long as you're okay with the characters are assholes, but they're intentionally assholes, and no one in the story actually likes them, so it's fine. Bounty Hunter, Sharky. Oh, Sharky the Bounty Hunter. I genuinely didn't like it.
Who drew that?
Simone Bianchi.
There it is. I don't know.
But even the story was just so rote and stupid. I was like, oh, here's where you were. Yeah. You got your edgy out in this very, very bad Lone Wolf and Cub. Remake. Yeah,
so the Ambassadors, the new book.
Is this one.
Basically, this woman and her husband have been trying to. Well, gosh. All right, rewind. Think of the race to the moon twixt America and the Soviets, and replace that with superheroes. So everyone's trying to create their own superheroes. And for a while there, America was like, what if we just kind of faked it and we hired an actor to play like a Superman type dude? So we find out that there's been all of these experiments. We're trying to create super soldiers, blah, blah, blah. But now someone who is not an American has actually created a superhero.
A meta-human.
It is a woman in South Korea. And that's kind of all you need to know. And then she instead of releasing it for government or for profit, it's like it's like a reality show, I guess, in that she's going to pick 6 of the nicest people from different countries. You're going to represent your country, and you just have to be like a good person. And that's kind of it. So, there's a scene of America, an American general flipping out because they're like, oh, it's the president. Actually, it's the president. And he's like, it's not for money. She doesn't want money. She doesn't want, it's not for her country. Oh, that's fucking terrifying. You're just going to pick people who are nice? Terrifying. So this is off to a great start. I highly recommend this, and I'm really excited to see where it's going. It does feel like a Mark Miller book. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of, or not a lot, but some gratuitous violence.
King of Spies, that was the other one.
Yeah.
God, Mark Miller's he's so good. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's good. I liked it a lot.
I've really liked his output as of late, and I'm excited for just all the stuff that this rolls into. If you know what it feels like, what was it? Image United. Do you remember that? And how it didn't actually happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. All of his disparate books kind of coming together with some big old jam almost feels like what should have been the fruition of Image United.
Yeah.
All of these different books and different artists. I mean, Big Game itself is going to be Pepe Larraz.
Oh, I do like Pepe Larraz.
He's the best.
He's real good.
But all of these stories that are being included in it, including this Ambassadors, they're all completely different, seemingly disparate stories that shouldn't be together. So it is giving me vibes of like the Promise Fulfilled made by Image United 25 years ago. Yeah. 20 years ago?
Those were all different writers.
It was all different writers and different artists.
Easier because it's just him.
But still.
Yeah. But yeah, I give this a pretty fresh. Definitely check it out. I know you will.
Yeah, it's on my list, baby.
Good. All right, what do you got?
What are we going to talk about next? I should probably pull up the doc and say, we're going to talk about Waller versus Wildstorm #1, which is a black label book from DC. This is the super prestige format. Mm-hmm. So that means it's magazine size with perfect bound glue printing or glue binding. It is a really pretty glossy cover. If you could see it in the light. Ooh.
I like that it's got fake stickers on it. I'm a sucker for that dumb shit.
It's the story itself takes place in the late 80s, early 90s, so it has a it's got that kind of almost like a members only jacket type velour kind of feel to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Or something on the bargain rack. Yeah, I'm okay with I'm
members only.
I'm happy with my
comparison.
Yeah. Anyway, this is written by Spencer Ackerman and Evan Narcisse.
Sure it is.
Narcisse, with art by Jesus Marino. I have never heard of these two writers before.
Right? That's neat.
Which isn't a deterrent, but also kind of like I don't know what I'm in for. So this book is issue 1 of, I don't know, 3, 4.
I will say, historically,
it's usually 3 or 4.
These are 4 issues, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not a promise.
But it's a little thinner than the 3-issue one, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's 4 issues. But so this is, I'm not exactly sure how to talk about this book. Was it good?
Yeah.
Probably. Yes. Ish. Yeah. Sure.
Fresh enough?
Fresh enough.
2, yeah.
Maybe 2.5.
Okay.
Because the art is wonderful. The pacing is good. I wasn't confused in any kind of narrative way.
Sure.
But it is heavily reliant on historical Wildstorm and DC characters that I have no fucking clue about.
Oh.
Very heavily reliant. Like someone walks into a room and they say their name. I don't know who that is. Like it's like have you ever read something and like, oh, there's a last page reveal, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
So the story's telling me I should be excited or surprised, but okay.
Quick sidetrack. I remember reading an Angel issue Buffy and Angel. And the end of one of the issues, maybe 1 or 2, there's a big reveal. Someone shows up that we know from the show. Shows up. The character shows up. And I was like, I have no idea who that is. Because the artist was so bad at drawing likenesses.
Who was it?
I don't remember.
Oh.
But I left it being like, do I know who that is? I don't know who that is. So I know what you mean.
I want to say, we all have blank spots in our comic book knowledge.
Of course.
I think it was Defenders last year. Was Al Ewing's Defenders?
Yeah.
The first one. I feel like the first or second issue ends with like this character reveal, and I did not know that that's what fucking Galactus's mom looked like.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I was
I'm
like, who's that?
Yeah, who's this?
Who's this lady?
But I guess if you were like super familiar with deep Marvel lore, that's a big old fist pump for you. But like beside the point, that's kind of what a lot of this book is kind of contingent on is you being a fan of Wildstorm.
Yeah.
Wildstorm characters. Like Battalion, who I didn't know who the hell that was, but
That's
I know
this guy
who
with this dumb
with the dumb
helmet?
like helmet thing. But I know who Lois Lane is. I know who Amanda Waller is. I know what Checkmate is. So like there was a lot of bits and pieces here that were coming together that I found really fascinating. But then when it got into the kind of member berries of it all to hook me, it didn't work for me. But the character opens the door and here's all of these like superheroes standing in his way. I didn't recognize a single one of them. No idea who
these people are. I'm looking at them right now.
Single one of them.
Also, this guy's costume is the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Hey, it takes place in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh,
now,
does it? All right.
My favorite aspect of this story, though, is you are following a very young, very green Lois Lane sent on her first international assignment in Gamora.
Yeah.
She is doing interviews with warlords and trying to get her... it's not Perry. It's Steve. What's the redhead guy? He's a jerk.
Yeah.
Steve Lombardo.
Oh, yeah.
Lombardo. Doesn't matter. He is kind of in charge of her. He's her editor right now.
Steve Lombard.
He's her editor right now, and he's a bit of a prick. So she keeps trying to like find the story, and it's a version of Lois Lane that I'm not used to reading and or don't see stories like that much anymore because she's very fresh. So she's very green and very unconfident, and it's really interesting. And she asks the right follow-up questions, but people push, and it's like there's an exchange here with Battalion and her, and he's trying to tell her a story of what he thinks is this egregious thing, and she's just like, wait, but roll back. What happened? No, that's not the story. Like that was really, really good. But then as soon as it's every time that this book zooms out to the Wildstorm of it all, I'm lost.
Yeah.
So this was pretty fresh. And I feel like, fresh enough.
Fresh
enough for me having no knowledge of what they're alluding to and referencing. So if you had that knowledge, this might be an amazing book for you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sold.
No?
No, I'm flipping through it. I like the cover by Jorge Fornes.
And the art is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Jesus Marino.
It feels very classic superhero-y stuff. Almost like Tom Grommet.
Yeah.
Yeah, very Tom Grommet-y. I might skip this unless you convince me otherwise.
I might not read the second issue.
Okay.
This might be a thing where it's like I recognize that it's pretty good, but
not for me.
Yeah. I got a heavy stack.
Fair enough.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is what time is it, JD?
I'll tell you, it's Clobberin Time.
Clobberin
Clobberin Time number 1 from Marvel Comics. For anyone who doesn't know, the Thing from the Fantastic Four, the FF, as we lovingly call them, his go-to is his.
It would be Clobberin Time.
What is this? What's that called? It's his
catchphrase.
Catchphrase. Yeah. It's Clobberin Time, and so I have the variant cover by Greg Smallwood, and goddamn, that's a poster right there, man. That's a good looking cover. This is by Steve Scroce. Scroce?
I want to say Scroce.
Scroce? Now, story and art by Steve Scroce. Color artist Brian Valenza. Steve Scroce, if you don't know, he did the majority of the for the Matrix films. He did the storyboards. Him and I want to say it was also Jeff Darrow, which is funny because Scrosey has a very Jeff Darrow-esque attention to detail with lots of little lines and lots of little details and stuff like that. This, I would say, if you like to watch The Thing and The Incredible Hulk hanging out and doing stuff, grab this book. I don't particularly care about The Thing and the Hulk hanging out and doing stuff, but it was still pretty good.
What kind of stuff? Like, are they going shopping?
Like, they get sucked into a portal, which takes them to another world, and they fight monsters, and they help... there's a village of creatures called Nub-Nubs, which are being beset upon by a race of monsters. And so they help defend the race of Nub-Nubs against the race of the monsters.
Are they called Nub-Nubs or they call them Nub-Nubs?
He calls them Nub-Nubs.
Okay, cool.
Which I'm assuming is like a Star Wars reference.
Maybe.
Like the Ewoks,
Yeah.
Because they're like very tiny. And it's like a well-drawn issue. What this looks to be, Clobberin Time, the series, looks to be a thing hanging out with X character each issue. So this is kind of a one-shot.
Oh.
Where it's just him and Hulk hanging out. I thought it was going to be like them fighting. They don't fight.
Oh, and it may not be Hulk the next issue?
No. The next one is him and The Thing and Wolverine.
Oh, that's a very grotesque.
I hate this cover.
The
cover to issue 2 is really disgusting.
It's really uncomfortable
It makes me really, uncomfortable.
I feel things.
Yeah. It's really gross.
Unsettling things.
Like, good job, Steve Scrosey. But
no, it's your art is incredibly effective.
But I'm
the effect.
horrified by it. Yeah.
I mean, when you said doing stuff, I know it's like a joke, but I immediately was like, well, I want to see them do taxes.
right.
Yeah. I want to see them go to the grocery store.
Yeah, it's just them helping out another race of people against monsters and stuff, and it's like a little slug'em fest, and it's fine. If you like The Thing and you like the Hulk, go for it. Didn't really speak to me in any way. I would say that this was fresh enough.
Fair.
Yeah, a 2.
Fair.
Yeah. Otherwise, you could probably skip it.
Something that I don't think people should skip
Ooh.
is Gotham City Year 1.
From Tom King.
Tom King, Phil Hester. The 6th and final issue came out this week. I read it. This when this gets collected, because first of all, those that aren't reading it in issues, I feel bad for you.
Oh.
This was a wonderful experience. And you will never be able to capture that time-released experience
unless you read one chapter a month.
No, it's still in front of you. There's no way that you'll be able to stop.
Damn it.
It's just science.
Okay.
This book is incredibly special. I adored this book. And I would, when it gets collected, I will recommend it in the same breath of anything from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips.
Oh.
Absolutely anything.
High praise.
Pulp. Oh, did you also read Gotham City Year 1? Oh, I liked Gotham City Year 1. Let me introduce you to some Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips.
Yeah.
Reckless. It's up there. It's the story of
Slam
it's
Bradley?
the story. No, I mean Slam Bradley is our main character, but it's the story of Bruce Wayne's grandparents. Their first daughter was kidnapped in the 1920s. 20s, 30s, 40s. I'm not exactly sure. Either way, Bruce Wayne's grandparents' first child being kidnapped, and it's a mystery not unlike the Hindenburg baby. Hindenburg?
Hindenburg is no.
What's the baby? The Zeppelin baby? The balloon baby? Can you look it up while I keep vamping?
Sure. I don't know.
I'm not going to cut this out because I want it to be. I want people to know how fucking
kidnapping.
The Lindbergh baby.
Lindbergh.
Ah.
Yeah.
The Hindenburg baby.
Yeah.
The famous kidnapped child and never found. But I mean, that's not necessarily how this goes. But that's the start of this. And Slam Bradley, a disgraced detective, current private eye, is asked to be the in-between between the kidnappers and ransom and the family because they can't involve the police. And then it just devolves from there into a story about class, privilege, money, corruption. It's just so fucking good. And then you find out that it's the way the narration. Tom King always has a way of like doing narration. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's terrible. This was all Slam Bradley, narrated by Slam Bradley in the present, talking about a case that disturbed him in the past. And then, in this issue, it kind of all gets buttoned up, and who he's relaying it to and how he's relaying it. And it's just, this is a great fucking book.
Wow.
I loved it. Absolutely loved
Super
it. And
fresh.
when it was solicited, I'm like, Gotham City Year One.
Dude.
Who cares?
Yep.
Batmobile first drive. Like, why does everything need a Year One? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Loved it.
Is it
Absolutely
actually Gotham City's Year One?
No. That would have been like the 1800s or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
Stupid name.
But it is, they go out of their way, in Tom King-y ways, they go out of their way to introduce language, and then, so like there is an event of this book, something happens in this book, like I think in issue 4 or something, that you can trace back to being the beginning of the end for Gotham, because like the Gotham that's introduced here, it's the air quotes, the safest city in the country.
Gotham as we know it.
Yeah, and then they also introduce I think one of the ransom notes is signed the Batman, Bat-Man. Yeah. This is 40 years before, that's a twinkle in Bruce's eye. Yeah. Or 50 years, whatever. Either way, but like there's little things, and then that's revealed as to what that actually means. There's little things like that, and it's really interesting.
Very cool.
This was the top pick of the week, man. Everybody should be reading this book.
At this point, I'm not a hard sell on Tom King. Mm-hmm. I like him a lot at this point, so I'm very looking forward to his Wonder Woman even. So I'll read this.
Thou shalt read Gotham City Year One.
I'm gonna do it.
Number 6 comes out this week. I think all the issues are actually available if you don't want to wait for a trade.
Yeah. If you come to my shop, I can order them in for you.
What shop is that again?
Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street. Or you can also go to our Patreon.com/Johnny Destructo and join our sticker club.
I'm gonna keep the mic for a second.
Do it.
First of all, super fresh. The freshest there ever was freshed. The freshest of the fresh
Gotham
for
City
Gotham City Year One. One last book that I want to talk about really quick that I got a chance to read that you may not have.
I did not.
Indigo Children #1, written by Kurt Pyers, with art by Rockwell White. Here, actually, let me double check on the
credits.
You double check on the credits.
I'll double check.
So this is the first issue of Indigo Children #1 by Image Comics. Presentation, great. The cover is there's just like 5 names and doesn't say
they
who does
just
what.
literally just like on the cover it says Kurt Pyers, Rockwell White, Alex Diotto, D. Cuniff, Hassan Aluhau.
I know D. Cuniff is a colorist.
Okay.
So those 3 people, 2 of them may be writers, 2 of them may be artists. We don't know. Either way,
this is
those 3 creators.
We were talking about a book last week, and part of it was flashbacks.
Oh, Paul Azazeta.
Paul Azazeta. Yeah, it feels very much like that, this artwork.
That's true. Oh, this is a very interesting book about a investigative journalist who kind of goes down the wrong path. And by wrong, I mean is obsessed with a story that is going to get him potentially killed.
Oh, shit.
But in a science fiction kind of way.
Okay.
So the opening scene is there's a cold open prologue of a little boy in Russia, a little Russian boy and his mother getting on a plane, and he walks by this gentleman with scars on his face, and has this kind of purple hued vision of disaster. And his mother asks, "Did you have another vision? Is everything okay?" And he whispers to her. And then it smash cuts to this sweating, nervous guy with scars on his face being yelled at by a security guard with a gun to his face. And then all of a sudden the plane explodes.
Blam!
And then cut to present day.
Okay.
And then it kind of unravels from there as to who this kid is, who the Indigo Children are, the journalist, being in the middle of a Russian city that isn't really a city. It's a very, very, very intriguing premise that I don't necessarily want to talk about too much.
Great.
Other than this is a solid,
flipping through
solid
it.
hook of
this
a
looks right
first
up my alley.
issue.
Yeah,
yeah. It's
this looks great.
It's got a lot of things that I really like. It's got grounded science fiction that is fantastical, but it's presented in kind of a way that is accessible and gritty. Because it's through the lens of somebody who is seeking out the truth and not somebody that's gullible. It's there's when your main characters are journalists or detectives, they come from skepticism and prove me wrong. And the story itself is kind of coming from that, so it makes the kind of fantastical stuff a little bit more palatable is a better word for it. Yeah, but this was a really strong, fun book. I liked it a lot. It's if your stack's a little light, and you're looking for like maybe a new read or something that's fascinating, I would say pick up Indigo Children #1. I'd say this is pretty fresh.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely flipping through it. This looks great. I'm definitely going to read this. I'm curious. I think I've tried Kurt Pyers in the past, and I have not stuck with him.
The back is the back pages. There's the other books that this creative team has worked on, one or two. Oh, Olympia is the last one that I read.
Youth, Olympia, It's Only Teenage Wasteland. I don't think I've stuck with him previously, but I will read this.
It's a solid book. I liked it a lot. I'm very happy for it. Now, before we run away, we're just going to talk about these books today. Is there anything that you are looking forward to that we didn't get a chance to read or review yet? Like maybe something that has to do with knights, superheroic knights in medieval times.
Oh my god! I love hints for things that I'm excited for. What the hell is the book called?
The Dark Knights of Steel.
That's the one. Dark Knights of Steel by Tom Taylor, right? Mm-hmm. One of my favorite current writers. He's up there with Tom King.
Tom's on Tom's.
Tom's all the way down. It's basically a Elseworld story where all Superman and all of the other main heroes of the DC universe exist in a medieval times. Not the restaurant, but like actual medieval times.
I would so read that though.
Yeah, I know. Just hanging out, like bringing people their chicken legs.
The entire Justice League just sitting in a row, rooting for the White Knight or something.
The Black Knight, yeah. It's very good. I read the first, I want to say 4 or 5 issues, and I was in. It was great. And then just due to time and things beyond my control, I haven't been able to keep up. But issue 10 comes out this week. Yeah. It's a 12-issue series, and I'm going to probably start from scratch and reread it from 1 and catch up, hopefully in time that maybe when issue 12 comes out, we can talk about it here on Fresh Floppies.
I would love to. This book is super fun.
I remember we had a dip in this because we were like, oh, this thing again, this particular thing that they do all the time in DC. Ugh. And then turns out it was like, oh, wait, never mind.
Well, I mean, our response was never mind because that actually did happen in the book.
Yes, it happened. But then another reveal. There was a reveal, and then there was another reveal.
Yeah, the book brought me back. And honestly, it's done that a couple of times. This is like Tom Taylor this is his little like safe space of I'm going to defy convention and norm in superhero storytelling by just making it an Elseworlds.
And
it's great.
I haven't finished all the Deceased books, but I want to catch up on Deceased, and I also really want to catch up on DC versus Vampires. Is that also Tom Taylor?
No, that's
feels very similar.
Tynion and Rosenberg.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think Tynion plotted it and Rosenberg is writing it.
I do like me some Tynion.
I'm like 10 issues into that, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's solid. It's not as strong as Steel or Deceased. Actually, Deceased is a little bit better, but it's fun. Yeah. If those are A+ horror movies that you're shocked are as good as they are, Vampires versus DC is like fun B movie.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they're good. It's they're levels. They're levels of good. Like
sure.
DC's versus Vampires, the sloppiness is kind of charming, whereas there's nothing sloppy about how Tom King has constructed DC store.
Tom Taylor?
Yeah. Sorry, King Taylor. And everybody mixes him up on Twitter all the time.
What are you looking forward to this week?
I'm looking for I'm looking forward, not looking for, because I know that it's in my box at Johnny Destructor's Hero Complex. Local Man #2.
Oh, yeah. I want to read Local Man #1. Shoot.
By Tim Seeley and Tony Fleece.
Yeah.
who corrected me on Twitter.
He did.
It's Fleece.
I love
not
that.
Fleeks or Flex. It's
we should
Fleece.
make mistakes more often, and then
and they could respond to us.
Yeah.
People, and then I'll pretend that I'm humble. No, loved the first issue of this. It is a story about a Image style superhero. We're talking like circa 90s, like Youngblood with lots of pouches and weird helmets. If somebody from a team like that was disgraced and had to like go back to their hometown as a loser, and then hilarity / bad things ensue after that. It's it very much had vibes of like what if you peaked at high school? Yeah. Which was very funny. Mm-hmm. But what makes this book even more impressive is that it's telling two stories at once. So like one half is Tony Fleece kind of dealing with the grounded coming back home kind of drama / comedy or dark comedy. And then you flip the book around and it's Tim Seeley doing Image style, like 90s Image style Youngblood team book with a bunch of like oddly designed characters. And you're seeing things transpire that are referenced in the other side of the book.
That's awesome.
And it's literally like a flip book. So it's fun. It's like it's like seeing. It's Rashomon-esque in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Not as like intense, but it's fun. Yeah. It's really fun.
Yeah. I really want to read issue 1 and catch up on that as well.
Yeah, it was that was one of the if anybody wants unsolicited advice on how to read comic books. Mm-hmm. Look at the catalog and
previews.
The previews catalog or DC Connect or
Marvel,
it's just previews and DC Connect Marvel previews. Just flip through and look for new number ones that are mildly intriguing. Yeah, and just tell your retailer, I want to sample issue 1. Yeah. Just issue 1, and then if you like it, you keep going, because there are some things that are just bitchin' finds when you just blindly sample issue 1s of stuff. Yeah, man. So and Local Man was a great blind issue 1, and I'm happy to add it to my list. Awesome. Yeah. But anyway.
All right. Should we get out of here?
Yeah, let's say goodbye.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Go enjoy your local comic shop. Go buy some comics. You can tweet at us at CultPopGo. Let us know what your fresh floppies are for the week, what you're looking forward to, or what you read that you're excited about. Join us tonight at 8 o'clock on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all that other happy horse shit, where we live stream. We're going to be doing part 4 of our March Madness comic book movies countdown.
Of all time.
Yeah, but not Marvel or DC.
Because, of all time. Yeah. And we are currently planning next couple of shows, live shows, which are going to be fun as heck. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when we release new content, including new episodes of Fresh Floppies. In the meantime, we'll talk at you later. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Cult Pop Network, home to podcasts, live shows, and a whole lot of fun stuff for every flavor of fan. Follow us wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and be sure to join us live every Wednesday night at youtube.com/CultPopGo at 8 p.m. Eastern. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you'll know when we drop new Thunder Rounds and episodes of Fresh Floppies, a spoiler-free show about single-issue comics released each week. Until then, we'll talk at you later.